Hare Krishna, everyone. Good morning. Today we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, chapter 7, verse 1. Second canto, chapter 7, verse 1. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo
Om Namo
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamutirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva bhadreshu nityam bhagavati sevaya bhagavati utama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. So, second canto, chapter 7, verse 1. And today we have at the Bhakti Yoga Retreat, Malini, Mother Malini, Bhakta Eze. Mother Malini is super pumped. At the other ashram, we have Ramachandra Prabhu and Dear Govinda Prabhu. Online, we have Aaron, Rukmini, Patrick and Rebecca, Ananta Shakti, and Fayanen. Thank you for joining us from around the world, from around Alachua, the miniature cosmos. Brahma Uvacha Yatra Udyata Kshititala Udaranaya Bibhat Kraudim Tanum Sakala Yagyamayim Anantaha Antar Maharnave Upagatam Adi Daitam Tam Damstraya Adrim Eva Vajradhara Dadara Brahma Uvacha Yatrodhyata Kshititalo Dharanaya Bibrat Kraudim Tanum Sakala Yagyamayim Ananta Antar Maharnava Upagatamadi Daityam Tam Dam Strayadrimiva Vajradharo Dadara Brahma Uvacha Yatrodhyata Kshititalo Dharanaya Vibra Kraudim Tanum Sakala Yagyamayim Ananta Antar Maharnava Upagatamadi Daityam
Upagatam Adidaityam.
Tam dam strayadrimiva vajradharo dadara.
Tam dam Stayadimiva Vajradharo Dadara.
Brahmovacha.
Brahmovacha.
Yatro dhyatakshitilodharanaya vibra.
Yatro Vyachititalodanaya Vibra.
Krodim tanum sakalayagyamayim ananta.
Kodim Tanum Sakalayamayim Mananta.
Antar maharnava upagatamadidahityam.
Antam Maharnava Upagatam Adidaityam.
Tam dam strayadrimiva vajradharo dadara.
Tam Stayadimiva Vajradhara.
Brahmovacha
Brahmovacha.
Yatro dayachititalodaranaya vibrat
Yato dhyatakshitilodharanaya vibra.
Raudim tanum sakalayagyamayim mananta
Krodim tanum sakalayagyamayim ananta.
Antar maharnava upagatamadidahityam
Antar maharnava upagatamadidahityam.
Dandam Strayadriniva Vajradharo Dadara
Tam strayadrimiva vajradharo dadara.
Brahmovacha.
Brahmovacha.
Yatro Vyachititalodanaya Vibra.
Yatro dhyatakshitilodharanaya vibra.
Kodim Tanum Sakalayamayim Mananta.
Graudim tanum sakalayagyamayim ananta.
Antam Maharnava Upagatam Adidaityam.
Antar maharnava upagatamadidahityam.
Tam Dastvayadrimiva Vajradharo Dadara.
Tam dam strayadrimiva vajradharo dadara.
Brahmovacha
Brahmovacha.
Yatro dhyatakshitilodharanaya vibrat
Yatro dhyatakshitilodharanaya vibra.
Pradim tanum sakalayagyamayim ananta
Gaudim tanum sakalayagyamayim ananta.
Antar maharnava upagatam adidaityam
Antar maharnava upagatamadidahityam.
Tam tam strayadrimiva vajradharo dadara
Tam dam strayadrimiva vajradharo dadara.
Brahmovacha
Brahmovacha.
Yatro Dayakashititalodanaya Vibra.
Yatro dhyatakshitilodharanaya vibra.
Alo Dintanu Sakalaya Gemai Mantam.
Gaudim tanum sakalayagyamayim ananta.
Antar Maharanavatam Adityaam.
Antar maharnava upagatamadidahityam.
Amgam Shatayam Devaiva Rajadaro Dadram.
Tam strayadrimiva vajradharo dadara
Would someone else online like to recite the verse? All right, we'll move on to the word for word. Brahma Uvacha.
Brahmovacha.
Lord Brahma said,
Lord Brahma said,
Yatra,
Yatra.
at that time
At that
when
time when
Udyata,
Yata
attempted,
attempted
Kshititala,
Chititala,
the earthly planet,
the planet Earth,
Udaranaya,
Dharanaya,
for the matter of lifting,
the matter of lifting,
Bibrat,
Vibrat,
assumed,
assumed,
Graudim,
crowding,
pastimes,
pastimes,
Tanum,
tanum,
form,
home,
Sakala,
sakala,
total,
total,
Yagyamayim,
yagyamayim,
all-inclusive sacrifices,
all-inclusive sacrifices,
Ananta,
ananta,
the unlimited,
the unlimited,
Antar,
anta,
within the universe,
within the universe,
Maha Arnave,
Maha,
the great Garbha ocean,
the great Gaba ocean,
Upagatam,
Bhagavatam,
having arrived at,
having arrived at,
Adi,
Adi,
the first,
the first,
Daityam,
Daityam,
demon,
demon,
Tam,
Tam,
him,
him,
Damstraya,
Damstraya,
by the tusk,
by the tusk,
Adrim,
a dream,
the flying
the
mountains,
flying mountain,
Eva,
Eva,
like,
like,
Vajradhara,
with Vajradhara,
the controller of the thunderbolts,
control the thunderbolts,
Dadara,
Da,
pierced.
pierce,
Translation. Lord Brahma said, at the time when the unlimitedly powerful Lord assumed the form of a boar as a pastime, just to lift up the earthly planet, which was drowned in the great ocean of the universe called the Garbhodaka, the first demon, Hiranyaksha, appeared, and the Lord pierced him with his tusk. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktivinoda Swami Prabhupada. Since the beginning of creation, the demons and the demigods, or the Vaishnavas, are always the two classes of living beings to dominate the planets of the universes. So Lord Brahma is the first demigod, and Hiranyaksha is the first demon in this universe. Only under certain conditions do the planets float as weightless balls in the air, and as soon as these conditions are disturbed, the planets may fall down in the Garbhodaka ocean, which covers half the universe. The other half is the spherical dome within which the innumerable planetary systems exist. The floating of the planets in the weightless air is due to the inner constitution of the globes. And the modernized drilling of the earth to exploit oil from within is a sort of disturbance by the modern demons, resulting in a greatly harmful reaction of the floating condition of the earth. A similar disturbance was created formerly by the demons headed by Hiranyaksha, the great exploiter of the gold rush. And the earth was detached from its weightless condition and fell down into the Garbhodaka ocean. The Lord, as the maintainer of the whole creation of the material world, therefore assumed the gigantic form of a boar with a proportionate snout and picked up the earthly planet from within the water of Garbhodaka. Sri Jayadev Goswami, the great Vaishnava poet, sang as follows: Vasati dashana sikare dharani tabalagna shashani kalanka kalevani magna keshavadrita sukara rupa jai jagadisha hare jai jagadisha hare jai jagadisha hare. O Keshava, O Supreme Lord, who has assumed the form of a boar. O Lord, the earthly planet rested on your tusks, and it appeared like the moon engraved with spots. Such is the symptom of an incarnation of the Lord. The incarnation of the Lord is not the concocted idea of a fanciful class of men who create an incarnation out of imagination. The incarnation of the Lord appears under certain extraordinary circumstances, like the above-mentioned occasion. And the incarnation performs a task which is not even imaginable by the tiny brain of mankind. The modern creators of the many cheap incarnations may take note of the factual incarnation of God as the gigantic boar with a suitable snout to carry the earthly planet. When the Lord appeared to pick up the earthly planet, the demon of the name Hiranyaksha tried to create a disturbance in the methodical functions of the Lord, and therefore he was killed by being pierced by the Lord's tusk. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, the demon Hiranyaksha was killed by the hand of the Lord. Therefore, his version is that after being killed by the hand of the Lord, the demon was pierced by the tusk, and Srila Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur confirms this version. Om Ajnana-gyanatimirandasya Gyananjana-shalakaya Chakshuro-namilitam yena Tasmai Shri-gurave namaha Shri Chaitanya-manobhishtam Shtapitam yena bhutale Svayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Tinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschitade Shatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam. Jai, so thank you for being with us today for Srimad Bhagavatam. We're at the beginning of the second part of the second canto, verse 1, chapter 7. So just as a little background, at the end of the first part of the second canto, we've been reading about Lord Brahma, the creator of this universe, speaking to his son Narada Muni, speaking to him about God, about Krishna, about how even he who is so intelligent, so powerful, is just serving at the feet of Krishna, and how even he is bewildered at the inconceivable grandeur of Krishna, at the unestimatable size and glories of Krishna, and how he, instead of trying to understand this all-pervasive, all-powerful being, he is ultimately just surrendering at his feet. And through that, he is infallible. He is finding his power. His creative force is just channeling service, is just channeling Krishna's own energy. Through his austerities, Brahma has realized that through like everything he is and uses and makes is all Krishna. It's all given to him by Krishna. And so he's been explaining this to Narada Muni. And now he's telling Narada, the great sage, that he will now tell him about the Leela avatars, the incarnations of Krishna in this universe. So the incarnations of Krishna are said to be like waves in an ocean, unlimited. Krishna is manifesting in infinite forms, and he is everywhere in every atom in his all-pervasive form. And then at the same time, these Leela avatars are so special. They're so unique and wonderful, and especially to the devotees, these are such an opportunity to meditate on the Lord and to glorify the Lord, to rejoice in his qualities. And for Krishna, it's an opportunity to enjoy, to be in his adventure, to have his pastimes, to be the supreme enjoyer. And so there's this exchange that's happening, this beautiful transcendental exchange of Krishna manifesting his pastimes, manifesting his desire to enjoy and to protect the devotees, to protect those who stand for truth, those who stand for compassion, those who stand for service, and for the devotees to relish in those leelas, to interact with Krishna by either directly participating in those adventures or by just remembering them, glorifying them, meditating upon them, reading about them, hearing about them. And for us, this is so important because God is absolute. Krishna is absolute, and being absolute means that his name is absolute. His name is non-different than him. His body is absolute. His body is non-different than him. And his qualities and his pastimes are non-different than him. So when we chant Hare Krishna, when we chant the Mahamantra, we may not fully realize it yet. And what's happening is we're directly connecting with all of Krishna. We're like fully with Krishna. And so it's about doing that enough so that we wake up to that reality. And the same as it's with his names, that transcendental vibration, his form is also transcendental, and his pastimes and qualities are transcendental. So by meditating on these pastimes, we can catch a glimpse of transcendence. We can begin to purify our consciousness and elevate our consciousness to a state of transcendental servitude, of transcendental bliss. Krishna is Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachid Ananda Vigraha. He is the embodiment of Sachit Ananda, of eternal existence, of knowledge, and of bliss. And so by connecting to any part of him, we begin to experience that as well. And we experience that as part and parcel of Krishna. We can directly experience those qualities more and more by connecting ourselves to Krishna's names, form, and qualities and pastimes. So I wanted to share a little bit why Krishna comes. I talked a little bit about it, and I wanted to read from the Bhagavad Gita, where in chapter 4, verse 8, Krishna talks about why he descends, and Srila Prabhupada gives a wonderful purport detailing what Krishna is telling us. So, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chaduskritam dharma santapanartaya sambhavami yuge yuge. In order to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to reestablish the principles of religion, I advent myself millennium after millennium. Purport. So I'll read just some parts of the purport. So the routine work of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, how and when he appears. Because Krishna is the proprietor of all planets, Bhoktaram Yagya Tapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. Sarvaloka. Loka means planets or universes. There are innumerable universes, unlimited number, and those universes are coming out within the breathing period of Mahavishnu. Yashaika Nishvashita Kalam Atavalambya Jivanti Loma Vilagya Jagadandanata. Jagadanda means universe. Jagadandanata, plural number. There are innumerable universes, and on each universe there is a predominant deity who is called Lord Brahma. Similarly, in each and every universe, there are innumerable planets. So here, Krishna and Srila Prabhupada are giving us a peek into how vast our reality is. In our condition as three-dimensional human beings with a conditioned mind and intelligence, our tendency is to become narrowly fixated. We might become narrowly fixated on our love relationship or lack thereof, or on our work, on making money, on getting the newest iPhone, on on so many things, so many objects, right? So we become fixated, and we get like this tunnel vision. And most living beings in this world are in that tunnel vision, especially if we look at consciousnesses that are a little more grossly merged into material existence. If we look at animals, they're just like fully aligned and in tune with eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. They're fixated on the objects to satisfy those needs. And their life is beautifully simple and violent and all the things in that way. And then for humans, we also have those tendencies, we have those needs, and most of us are living constricted within that capacity of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. And due to that, we're kind of in this narrow tunnel of perception where we're thinking, even very intelligent, when we get really intelligent, we still think, oh, we might be the only ones in this vast, huge universe. Like, humans we're the only ones. We made it. We got lucky. Some random things happened on this planet, and here I am, and here's my car, and here's my wife, and like, look how special I am, and this is like everything, and it can actually be kind of depressing after a while when we create such narrow perspectives of what our life is, who we are, because it's lonely. It's kind of disconnecting. If you really consider that in this vast cosmos, there's no purpose, there's no greater intelligence, meaning. It's just like randomly happened, and it's just this little, we're just a little ball floating in a vacuum, and it's just random, and we just are meant to try to enjoy. Of course, that ultimately fails for everybody, and we all die, and then so Srila Prabhupada and Krishna and the Srimad Bhagavatam, they're like endeavoring to shatter that perception, shatter that tunnel, and get us to see a way broader, inclusive, and connecting vision of reality. So in this purport that I was reading, right, Srila Prabhupada is stressing this, like, that they're infinite universes, that they're just plural, it's plural, and just that. Even modern scientists in the last few decades have begun to entertain the concept of multiverses. And thousands of years ago, this is already, this is eternal knowledge, but already thousands of years ago in the Vedas, this is clearly detailed understanding. So you can see, like, we have a tendency to have a bias towards this kind of opening, towards this kind. Like, there's this tendency to close. Maybe it's safe for us to not consider the grand picture. But Srila Prabhupada here is really emphasizing this, that within each of the innumerable planets there is a Brahma. It's not like many people I've met that identify as like Hindus. I say, like, yes, Brahma is the creator. And Srila Prabhupada has taught us, it's like, yeah, that's true, and not the full truth. Like, Brahma is just one out of infinite Brahmas. Like, even Brahma is somewhat insignificant and small in consideration of the complete whole. In considering Krishna, the totality of everything, the Supreme Personality, intelligence, even Brahma, even the one who is giving us humbly this knowledge is only a mote, a small piece of eternity, of the totality. and then Krishna is descending, or transcending space, time, and he's coming in. The word here is interesting. So the routine work of Krishna. So just like we might have a routine, we might chant or meditate and go to work, take care of our family, eat. Like Krishna is a personality, and he has a routine. He has things he likes to do, things that give him pleasure. And so when Krishna feels like, oh, I want to go save this planet, I want to go relish this pastime with my devotees, he has a schedule for that too. So in this universe, we're given a schedule of his avatars. And I see this in a way as such great protection, because there's this tendency that we want to say, oh yeah, this person is directly God incarnated, and this is that is. We have this tendency to fictionalize and to create gods. So that doesn't mean that there is no God and that all gods and all pastimes are fairy tales. We're being given here very scientific understanding of God, of his pastimes, with a lot of knowledge in regards to time, in regards to astronomy, chemistry, psychology, that really gives so much validity, integrity, and gravity to these stories that are, so far out. But why wouldn't they be? Like this reality is far out. Even if we look at our lives, things that we begin to experience as mundane, really, there's just wondrous magic all around in nature, within us, in our bodies, our minds, creativity, dream, reproduction, biology, like all these things are incredibly far out, so of course Krishna's pastimes are going to be transcendental blockbusters. So yeah, Srila Prabhupada is giving us this understanding of this vastness and of this schedule. The Bhagavatam gives us the schedule of the Das Avatar, of Krishna's main incarnations, and when they come, why they come, in order to give us that opportunity to relish, and also in order to give us trust, in order to give us faith in the Lord, to appreciate his beauty, his wonder, his power, and his grace. He's coming just like we have a desire to protect our loved ones, to protect our family, to protect our children. Krishna, the Supreme Father, the Supreme Creator, similarly, he wants to protect. He wants to protect us, and not necessarily just our bodies. He wants to protect our innermost being. He wants to protect these souls. And so what does that mean? Here in this verse, we're reading about Hiranyaksha. So Hiranyaksha appears as the first demon in this universe, and Brahma is the first demigod. So in the Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad Gita, we're given this concept of demigods and demons, angelic qualities, demoniac qualities. So here, my understanding is like we're talking about two distinct races, like two distinct categories of people. And one is like generally wanting to serve the Supreme Enjoyer, wanting to serve Krishna, love Krishna, worship Krishna. They have an understanding of who is Ishvara, who is the controller of everything that be, and that it's not them. And so those are the demigods. Those are the angelic qualities, compassion. And then there are the demons, who have a consciousness that's more opposed to the concept of there being a controller beyond them, beyond themselves, that I'm the controller, I'm the enjoyer, I'm the center of this universe. And so Krishna has compassion for both. Krishna has compassion for both types of consciousness. And in Kali Yuga, we can practically see how within us, I know definitely for me, there's both of these. There's both these tendencies. There's both demoniac and demigod-like or angelic qualities. There's compassion, and there's lust, and there's surrender, and there's like attachment to control. And so Krishna has compassion for both these entities, both these types of consciousness and qualities. So Krishna, when he comes as Varaha, he's coming to raise the earth up, because it's been so polluted, it's been thrown so out of whack because of so much greed, so much lust, so much corruption from the consciousness on the level of Hiranyakashipu. He is in a consciousness of exploitation. It's all about me. I'm the center of the universe. I want gold, power, enjoyment for me, and I don't care who suffers at the cost of my needs and what I want. So we can see in this like pure taking, just taking. And from that, the earth is so overwhelmed that it gets thrown out of its perfect balance within its astronomical course. So we can see how today, human beings, a lot less powerful than an entity like Hiranyaksha, we're in this mode of exploitation, in this mode of narrowing our field of perception, instead of opening up to the grand intelligence, beauty, the supreme controller. We're endeavoring to be the controller, to be the enjoyer, and in that short-sightedness, we exploit the earth's resources. We make really short-sighted decisions and pollute the earth. We don't consider other entities, other living entities, animals, other human tribes. We just, it's all about me, and we want the newest thing and the biggest and the shiniest. And we, like this, we begin to throw nature's beautiful and delicate arrangement that's so perfect, we begin to throw it out of whack. And we can say that's perfect as well, and at the same time we can perceive that there's a violence there. There's so we're creating a similar and here Srila Prabhupada says, like such as the demons, modern demons, and we can see, I see myself often being this modern demon. It's like when Krishna's coming in the form of the Vedas, in the form of his pure devotees. He's coming out of compassion for that side as well, for that demoniac, for those demons, for the demon within me. He has compassion for that. So when Krishna comes as Varaha, he comes and he rescues the earth from her calamity, from her falling down into this lower part of the universe called the Garbhodaka ocean, and to raise it up. And naturally there's a resistance from Hiranyakashipu, from this demoniac consciousness. He's like, he just wants to kill Vishnu, Krishna. He's infuriated that somebody's getting in the way of his enjoyment, even when God is directly there, returning things to their course. He's like under so much illusion of control, under so much illusion of false prestige, that he is just trying to kill everything. He's trying to kill himself in a way. He's trying to kill the Supreme Personality of Godhead, on which everything rests on, like every atom of his own being is an emanation of Krishna. And so he's so confused, so in so much pain that he's doing that. And so Krishna has both compassion for the demigods and the earth, and also for Hiranyaksha. He's in fighting with him, and ultimately in killing that body, he is liberating Hiranyaksha. He is showing grace on him and humbling him, giving him an opportunity to become purified, to purify his consciousness, and return to a state of harmony with Krishna, and to a state of devotional love. So same with us. Krishna is giving us that opportunity. And it's up to us how much we want to fight, or how much we want to just accept or surrender. So I'll continue a little bit with the purport from Bhagavad Gita 4.8. Living entity is eternal servant of Krishna. When he, instead of becoming servant of Krishna, wants to imitate Krishna, to enjoy, because the enjoyer is Krishna, Bhokta. Bhoktaram yagya tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram. But when we try to imitate Krishna, just like here also we can see practically, everyone's trying to become a big or small Ishvara, controller, Krishna. Ishvara is Krishna, Ishvara Parama Krishna. But here's the struggle that everyone is trying to become Ishvara, trying to become the controller. Nobody wants to become servant, although that's inevitable. Srila Prabhupada says, although he is the servant of Maya, we can see it's inevitable that we're servants. That's our constitutional position. Just like having faith is inevitable. Worshipping is inevitable. You know, there's so many things that are in our innermost essence, and we will manifest them. We will manifest worship towards something, service towards someone, something. And so, we can do that towards Maya, towards these objects, towards impermanent, illusory gratification, name, fame, all these things. Or we can dovetail these natural tendencies to the transcendental person, to his transcendental names and qualities. And in doing so, we are fully engaged in that essence that we have, and we become more and more satisfied, more and more aligned, and in bliss. Actually, we are servants, but we are trying to become Ishvara. This is called Maya. So this position of the living entity is called Dharmasya Glani, discrepancy of the constitutional position. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. Srila Prabhupada says, but there are certain persons who are above this mistake, illusory energy. Who are those? The devotees. The devotees who are called sadhu. Sadhu. There is a word sadhu. Sadhu means honest, good behaved. They are called sadhu. There is a description of sadhu. It was sadhava sadhu bhushana. What are they? Sadhu. Titikshava karunika suhrida sarvadehinam ajata shatrava santa sadhava sadhu bhushana. This is a description of sadhu. Sadhu does not mean for livelihood, change the color of your garments, or having a beard and become a sadhu. No, sadhu means devotee. Sadhu means first-class devotee. That is also stated in the Gita. Sadhur eva sa mantavya samyak vyavashito hisa. Who is that man? Api chetsu darocharo bhajata mam anya bhak. Sadhur eva sa mantavya. One who is fully engaged, bhajate mam anya bhak. He has no other engagement, not partial, some percentage of this purpose, some percentage of that purpose. No, samyak, wholeheartedly. 24 hours engaged in the service of the Lord. He is sadhu. He is sadhu. Api chetsu durachara. Even if you find some fault in him, because sadhu is sadhu bhushana, you cannot find fault in him. You cannot find a fault. But even though if you find some fault, but if you find that he's engaged in that service of the Lord, Krishna says he is sadhu. So Krishna is always anxious to give them protection. Just like a child is adherent to the parents, he does not know anything else except his father, mother. Similarly, the parents are also very much anxious to give protection to the child. This is reciprocal. If you depend on Krishna fully and simply engage yourself in his service, then you are sadhu. So as Brahma will continue to instruct Narada Muni about the incarnations of Krishna, the incarnations of God in this universe, we're so fortunate in that Brahma is a pure devotee of Krishna. Srila Prabhupada, who's giving us the translations and the purport, is a pure devotee of Krishna. So their consciousness is fully in surrendered service to Krishna, wholeheartedly, earnestly. They're not, like, I know when I read these leelas, like for me, I'm still like a really mundane understanding of them. I'm still wanting to see like, but how could this happen with my understanding of physics and biology and and it helps me so much to endeavor to empathize with Srila Prabhupada, to endeavor to see the world through his lens, because he's seeing with the eyes of love. He's seeing with the eyes, with a heart completely pure, uncluttered, unencumbered by any dust. And with that clarity and purity of vision, he's seeing Krishna's Leela. He's seeing this eternal pastime, infinite eternal pastimes happening. And so by listening to those that have this vision, we can also begin to have a sneak peek at that, and we essentially purify our own hearts so that we declutter and we can enter into this beautiful exchange between Krishna and his devotees. So I'll read the verse one more time. Brahma vacha yatro dhyata talo dharananya bibhrat graudim tanum sakala yagya maye mananta antar maharnava upagatamadi daityam tam strayadrimiva vajra daro dadara. Lord Brahma said, at the time when the unlimitedly powerful Lord assumed the form of a boar as a pastime, just to lift up the earthly planet, which was drowned in the great ocean of the universe called the Garbhodaka, the first demon, Hiranyaksha, appeared, and the Lord pierced him with his tusk. Jai. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Any questions, comments, refutations, corrections?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada said Brahma is the first demon, and the first demigod, and Hiranyaksha is the first demon. And so it seems that at that time when Hiranyaksha took the earth already existed. So that's mean that all the living beings before that were not demons. Like there was only demigods. Like at the creation of the universe, at the creation of all the there is, like each person come with their own baggage of past desire and activities. So it seems that, okay, Hiranyaksha was born from Kashyapa Muni and Diti.
Mm-hmm.
So does that mean that before the birth of Hiranyaksha, then there was no demons? Like everyone was like a devotee or saintly person? That's what was coming to my mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have a similar question, and perhaps Dear Govinda Prabhu has an answer, because I felt a little unclear about that in reading this for sure. Prabhuji, do you have something you can share?
I appreciate the question. I have no special insight there. You know, it could mean like Hiranyaksha is the first like major demoniac personality. Of course, you know, it could be like before that, maybe it was, Satya Yuga. I mean, even like with Kashyapa Muni and Diti, you know, it wasn't all sattva there, you know, how things unfolded with them producing the twins, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. But so it's not that it was only divine devotional. My understanding is that it's not that it was only divine devotional heart of all living entities in the universe, but so maybe Hiranyaksha is the first who's like prominently major, substantial, powerful, influential demon, and you know, so Prabhupada's sort of summarizing there. So I'm conjecturing here.
I have a question about which yuga is that taking place?
Well, I don't know what yuga. I don't know what yuga. It's the dawn of creation. So I'm thinking that in one sense it's either like the beginning of the lifetime of Brahma, or maybe the beginning of this day. And you know, if it's the beginning of this day, then it's dozens of yuga cycles in the past. If it's the beginning of the lifetime, then it's just like thousands of yuga cycles in the past. So even like which yuga that gets into like, you know, hundreds of thousands or maybe a few million of years distinction. But we seem to be talking here. We seem to be talking here about really like trillions of years of distinction, perhaps, if we're talking about the beginning of lifetime. But I'm just trying to give some perspective that maybe even like the yuga doesn't matter so much. You know, again, if we talk about the beginning of if you get where I'm going with that.
Yeah, it's a dawn of creation, so it will be either the beginning of the day of Brahma or the beginning of the life of Brahma.
Yes.
So the yuga, you know, like you're giving the perspective to put things where they belong. And at the same time, it seems that at the dawn of creation, like it starts with Satya Yuga, the longest one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, I'm thinking of the first question I had, and so at the beginning of the Satya Yuga, it means like, because at the end, when everything is annihilated, it's annihilated at the end of the Kali Yuga, and I'm just thinking loud now. And so the people are so sinful and so fallen that there is no chance for enlightenment anymore.
Mm.
So everything needs to be destroyed. And the way it's destroyed, but like every soul, we spoke about that just a few classes ago, how every soul is absorbed and merged into the body of Vishnu at that time. And so during the night of Brahma, then they're dormant. And when the start of dawn, creation again, the soul come out, and they come out with that level of subtle body from the end of the last Kali Yuga. So that's what was going on for me. And I'm thinking like my mind is going to like, oh, that means like maybe all those souls, they take birth in a lower planetary system, or they take birth in animal species of life. And then the souls that are in human form, or the souls that are in demigods form, they are souls that are descending from the spiritual world. That's what's going on in my mind.
Hmm. Okay. Yes.
I'd like to add something to what you're sharing here. So later on in this same part 2 that we're on, towards the end, Prabhupada writes, the present duration of a kalpa of Brahma is called the Varaha Kalpa or Shveta Varaha Kalpa, because the incarnation of the Lord as Varaha took place during the creation of Brahma, being born out of the lotus flower of the abdomen of Vishnu.
Mm-hmm.
And then Prabhupada writes about the 30 kalpas of Brahma, which correspond to the days. So there's 30 kalpas, the first of which is that Varaha or Shveta kalpa. To me, when it says that the Varaha kalpa is during the creation of Brahma, that sounds like that's the very creation, not just
Not just the day,
the
but
day.
the birth.
Mm-hmm.
The birth of Brahma.
Mm-hmm. And I also have a question, unless there's more being said.
I wanted to, if
David
it,
wants to say.
yeah, Dear Govinda Prabhu.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm like following up on that thought is something for me. I see how my mind tries to make sense of it in that, like, okay, thing where like my consciousness has become influenced by a desire to become the controller and the enjoyer out of like envy for God, for Krishna. And it makes sense to me, it's like pure conjecture, speculation, that like, at some point I was less conditioned and less like lusty and materially conditioned, and it makes sense that there would be like demigods mostly first, and then gradually there would be more demoniac consciousness, yeah, at the same time it doesn't make sense to me that's like these demigods are still somehow they're under the influence of Maya, but they're still devotees, like they still have an understanding of Krishna and a desire to serve Krishna. So I guess because that's not like pure and complete, like they gradually like become influenced by Maya and just become more and more demoniac. Like I can see that in my life. Like the more I choose illusion and Maya, the more overwhelmed I become, the more addicted I become to objects and my senses. And I'm struggling in like looking at it linearly, because I get that like there's a transcendental aspect of it, there's a timeless aspect to this. Like if I think about it just linearly, like the birth of Brahma in this universe, like still that's just one universe, one like thread of time amidst a timeless process, like, because my understanding of the fall of the jiva or whatever, like, is that that's happening like outside of space and time. That's so it just feels inconceivable.
It feels inconceivable because it's not simply there's one Brahma, there's many Brahma, many universes. So even when one Kali yoga ends and all those souls are so done, then they may not take birth necessarily in this universe. They may take birth in any places in the universe that will like match the level of their soul.
Yeah, like
Covering
their
of your
cross-pollination
soul.
in the
Yeah.
multiverse, like it's
Yeah.
there.
So there is always a space for wherever we are at, that's for sure. Wherever we are at in our desire and activities, there is always a space in the material universe as long as we have material desire and activities. And that space may not always be in the same universe, so like that.
Mm-hmm.
The first question that sort of spun this whole conversation around how is this demon here there, and I vaguely remember reading something like, what is it, in the Satya Yuga, demons and demigods existed on like different planets, and then like in the next stage, then they existed on the same planet with different families, and then they existed in the same family, and then they exist in the same body. I'm wondering if you can speak more to that as it relates to some of what you just shared, like you begun like I can notice both qualities within me, and then like the gradual deterioration from like being saintly to being more demonic. I'm wondering if you have anything to say in relation to that.
Well, I appreciate you bringing that more like granularity to the general like evolution of consciousness, let's say, because we in modern science there's like an emphasis on evolutionary biology, but within Shabda Brahman, within Vedic scripture, the emphasis on like the subjective evolution of consciousness, how consciousness changes, becomes influenced, and how to shift our consciousness, regain our pure consciousness. And what you're saying to me makes perfect sense, that like there would be like two poles, a consciousness that's like fully pure, a consciousness that's maybe become so covered over it's like at the opposite end of the spectrum. And it makes sense that as they interact, like some good goes here, some bad goes here, and it we're like sponges. So like I can see how the good influences the bad, how the bad influences the good, and like I don't want to like, I see there's like a pitfall in like looking at like as a duality, and I'm not really sure what your question is completely, to be honest. If you could clarify, like.
Well, I'm not sure if I have a question, but I'm just like, there's like pieces of information that I know separately, and I was just wondering how you might connect all of those. Which, like, I mean, what you said was even helpful, just in what you said, that like these consciousnesses start further apart, and then like whatever phenomenon, then they start coming closer and influencing one another more, to the point that then they're like so intertwined, like in us, like just like I can recognize both of those qualities within myself. There's no like question. I was just curious how you might connect those like 3 different things that I mentioned.
What just came up for me is like that my understanding of like myself and you and Melanie and Dira and everyone here is that like essentially we're all the pure aspect of consciousness. We're all like spirit, soul, part and parcel of Krishna. So like we are like ultimately we are pure. And so like the demon-like tendency flavor is like clouded over consciousness. And yeah, everything, all the different, like when you're talking about it in more like geographical versus like geographical different planets, that these types of consciousness exist and live in the same body. To me, it just seems like just different levels of cloudedness, and then naturally that's manifested in different ways in form, bodied form.
There is an aspect also that we spoke about often, is that there is a demon race, and then there is a demoniac tendency. And in the Bhagavad Gita, for example, chapter 17, 16 is divine and demoniac tendencies. But also there is a demon race. And within the demon race, we know there is pure devotees like Prahlad, Bali Maharaj. So I think maybe also when we say Hiranyaksha being the first demon, maybe he was the first of that race, because Kashyapa Muni and deities, they had sex at the wrong time. And Kashyapa Muni knew, like, no, it's not a good idea, because if we have, population now, what's coming out is not auspicious. And it seems that like maybe that was the start of a race, not simply the consciousness, but also race. And to make those distinctions, it's often important while reading the Bhagavatam, because we find pure devotees inside the demon's race.
Yeah, like some of the most iconic and like the ones that, I don't know, for me, Prahlad Maharaj is like always been kind of like the example,
Yeah. And he come one generation after Hiranyaksha. So it's kind of short time.
Yeah, and for me, that's really showing that we're not limited to our psychophysical nature, because that the psychophysical nature of demons as a race has a certain tendency, and Prahlad Maharaj isn't like limited in any way by that. Neither is Bali Maharaj, and thank you for bringing that up.
So in what you just said, the distinction you pointed out, Melanie, like, okay, and you mentioned, Narayan, there's like the 2 races. And then connecting to something that you said a little bit more recently about, like us, for example, like, okay, you said we're like the pure aspect, we're covered over. Isn't it true that ultimately everyone is that? Isn't it true that ultimately everyone is a devotee that's covered up? We're just maybe covered up slightly less than others. So I'm not understanding so much what it means about like the different races. Is that like speaking like on a biological level?
Dynasties.
That's what that means. Races is dynasties. Okay, almost like the sense I can make of it is like my last name is Sanchez, so that's like a race, like a smaller dynasty. Is that something?
That's my understanding, is that the demons, they all come from one mother. And in fact, they are half brothers with demigods who come from a different mother, and they all have the same father. Yeah. But because they were born under a certain influence of the astronomical planet, of different influence of the planet, then they have different tendencies. And they are race, dynasty. It has nothing to do with the soul. And in fact, something that Dear Govinda brings up during the Advent course is like there is those two doorkeepers of Vaikuntha, Jai and Vijay. So Ayanyaksha is one of them.
Yeah.
So it's like, you prove your point that everybody is divine, and they were very divine. And they made the choice to come as treat us as demon because they wanted to go back to Krishna quicker than having 7 lives as a devotee. Yeah. So we have propensity, we are born in certain family, we have psychophysical nature, and like Narayan was saying, we are not limited by that psychophysical nature, even if we are born in a demoniac family.
Yeah, the spirit soul is pure, and it's like, in a sense, we can say, oh, the air is dirty, the air is polluted, the sky is cloudy, but in one sense, the clouds don't affect the actual sky. The pollution doesn't affect the air. Okay, so the soul is pure. The soul is pure, and we can get covered, and there's different ways to describe the coverings: tamas, rajas, sattva. I think it's important because even here we're talking about like races, and so you can think, in the modern day, there's so much conversation around race and things like that, gender, nationality, and so it's helpful, I know, for me to think, myself, probably, all of us, we as the spirit soul, we've been born in all the races and all the species, and we've taken birth in likely human families that are more or less pious and more or less evil, and taken birth as trees and in black bodies and white bodies and European bodies and bodies in this universe and that universe. And so that's just kind of like a helpful perspective, to help get out, I am this race, I am this gender, like that. And so so the soul is pure because Prabhupada came on the Jaladuta, and he came to a place where, from the Vedic system, all of the races are off the chart and on the low side, here in the West.
Lower east side.
Yeah, right. And so he just brought out that natural devotion of the soul, whatever the race, because like those who are meat eaters, they're very low on the scale, but that refers to, like, on the Vedic scale, like those who, according to ritual, might kill a goat once a month according to some mantra, but like those who are like sending cows to slaughterhouses and eating that, it's far below animal. Like, I like how Narayan you gave that the animal, it's very natural and authentic, and it's violent, and it's in harmony. It's in harmony. So what we're doing, and Prabhupada really gets to the essence of spiritual environmentalism, spiritual ecology, and the purport. So Prabhupada came to a place where it's like not in harmony, and it's just this, violation, same root. And he just, whatever, and he's just with clear intention, pure devotion, pure love. And I like how you shared that, Narayan, these Brahma, Narada, Vyasadeva, Srila Prabhupada, just with pure love of Krishna, from wherever we're at, they're bringing out that loving propensity in us. Of course, we're not at that loving stage, so we perform sadhana, we perform rigorous sadhana to come in that direction. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Oh, Hare Krishna.
Haribo, Bhakta Patrick.
I say just quickly that I appreciate the conversation. Seems like it's coming to some resolution, at least my conscious doubts or curiosities. But I really appreciate empathizing with Prabhupada, like you said, like seeing the world from his point of view, and like maybe our point of view, our consciousness is there's so much, like you said, biology and conditioning of like what's important or what's the central parts of the universe or existence with, like, you know, physics or whatever. And then like what's central for Prabhupada is the Leela, Krishna's Leela, the pastimes, you know, that's the kind of unifying principle of the universe is Krishna's Leela. And that's really, really pleasing to experience.
Mm. The other night I was reading from the prayer by the personified Veda in Krishna book, and they pray to the Lord. They are there because when the Lord wake up, like a king, he always hears glorification of himself. So the personified Veda, they do that with Mahavishnu. When he's about to wake up, they are just chanting his glory. And one thing they were saying is that it's your pastime to manifest the cosmic manifestation, to, you know, to put in motion the material creation, and then the personified Vedas say you do that out of your compassion because you want to give another opportunity for the conditioned soul to liberate themselves, because when they are in a stage of merge into your body during the night, when they're all inside the body of Vishnu, they don't have an opportunity. So you say it is your Leela, it is your pastime, and you create at your free will, like it doesn't need to be on schedule even. That's what they say. And you do that to give another opportunity for the conditioned soul to come back to you. Yes. Pastimes.
Narayan, can I ask a question?
Yes, I'm wonderful.
Yeah, recently, well, not recently, but this pastime actually kind of triggers like a disturbance that I experienced within like the Hare Krishna movement, like around Prabhupada teachings. Like last year, I noticed there's like sort of like a, I don't know, like a conflict or a controversy that goes on around like, is the earth flat or not, and all those different things. And I personally, like, I don't take any of the sides, and I don't wish to like ask what is wrong and what is right, but I'm just wondering why this conflict exists on such a basic principle. And I think Mother Melanie and Hira, they can, I remember we were, I think 3 of us or 4 of us last year when Daneshwar, I think he came, he visited Mother Malini, and like almost a conflict like that started there. And yeah, I'm just like wondering like why there are like very simple things in the philosophy, and yet so many devotees, they just go head to head to prove their point, and nothing is accomplished.
Yeah, I get like this doubt that you have in seeing conflict, and yeah, specifically around this like controversial topic of flat Earth versus round Earth.
Maybe perhaps I would highlight why this pastime kind of reminds me of that, because one of the points that these two sides they bring up is that on the ancient illustrations of like in ancient temples, you can see that Varaha lives like the earthly plane, not like a planet, but like a plane, like a surface. And in Prabhupada's books, like the illustrators, they drew like, let's say, a planet actually. But then each one of the sides brings different things that Prabhupada says, sometimes that the earth is round, sometimes the earth is flat, sometimes this, sometimes that. And it becomes like for me, it becomes very ridiculous, and it's kind of disturbs me, like why on such a basic things devotees in the Hare Krishna movement are arguing even. So
Yeah, I get it. Feels ridiculous. It seems ridiculous to you that, yeah, it's not clear, and it's like a big argument.
it's ridiculous that it's not clear. That's my kind of
Yeah. It's like either the Earth is obviously round or it's flat, but it's like it's one or the other. Why is it a controversy? Yeah, I get that frustration. I want to share that, like, just I resonate a lot with that experience. I have it around this and a lot of things in Krishna consciousness, or out of Krishna consciousness in relation to Krishna consciousness. Like for me, I would love to hear what Dear Govinda has to say about this, but I appreciate you asking me, and I'll share that where I've found solace is in Achinta Veda Veda Tattva. It's just like being like, well, I can see how from some perspective it's flat, and from another perspective it's round. Like, and my understanding of mathematics and geometry and perception. We were talking about being looking out onto reality, being a two-dimensional being versus a three-dimensional being versus whatever, and because Shabda Brahman is coming from an absolute perspective, it can kind of like give us multiple perspectives that are mind-boggling to us, but that are actually completely fine being simultaneous, and that's, for me, that's like how I've addressed this issue. And I'll share that I'm not like completely satisfied in that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds like you're not completely satisfied that Chinta Veda Tattva gives a permission to everyone to be right.
Yeah, it's like I'm looking at things in 3 dimensions, and like I don't know. That's where that's what I'll share. I don't know if Malini or Dear Govinda.
I really love your response. That's nice.
Me too. I really appreciate your response, Prabhu. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to add something. I was seeing Theo was going to add. In relation to what you said in that conversation that we had about flatlanders, to me it makes sense that from maybe even from Prabhupada's perspective, or really wherever Krishna's perspective, certainly how our earth is flat, in the sense that we could say, even though we see things in 3D, we're still flatlanders in comparison to a higher dimension, a higher perspective of awareness. It would be like if you draw, say, even if you draw a globe on a piece of paper, you could say, oh, it's a 3D thing, and still from that perspective, it's also flat. I wasn't even aware of this controversy happening, and you started sharing. I was like, oh no, I'm going to become like confused and resistant because I'm going to have the same controversy. And then you explaining this to Rama, I can see how that makes sense. Like from my very limited perception, because I can't even see the whole planet all at once. To me, it is flat. I know, like, seeing through the eyes of knowledge, as David says, I know, at least I think, I don't actually know, I think it's round, it's a globe. And to me, the apparentness of like my very limited perception as a flatlander, it's obvious. Like, I just look anywhere and things are flat. So yeah, of course it's flat.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. That I appreciate your simplicity with that topic. And like my dad's a Vedic astrologer, and he's told me, you know, very ancient Vedic astrology, like it doesn't make sense without the earth being round. Like they had these things before, and that in Galileo and in the Western world, they were talking about a round earth, you know, these, like those calculations were there. So that's also given me personally, like, you know, the understanding that it can, because it's not like something that necessarily was changed, but I could see how both of those things could be in the Vedas, both flat perspective and round perspective. And yeah, I personally try to look at it and, yeah, how does this argument serve me? And does it serve me to expand my consciousness and perception of reality and ultimate, you know, purpose and service, or is it a distraction that I use to create some, yeah, drama or sense of being right? And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, okay, as far as controversy, I mean, one thing is, oh, why are devotees fighting? Well, that's one issue. And the other thing is Vedic cosmology. And then, okay, so there doesn't need to be controversy if we're in a spirit of discovery. I appreciate your, you know, your explanation based on the principle of different dimensionality. The Vedas describe in this universe, there's 14 time dimensions, there's different spatial dimensions. So, yeah, so Shukadev Goswami, he himself, before he gets into the cosmology section of the 5th canto, he says, this is inconceivable to me. I'm simply reporting, you know, what I've heard, what I've heard from Shabda Brahman. And then Shukadev Goswami, apparently, when he talks about the geography of the universe, including, and that's one thing, like several times in the purport, you were reading, Narayan, the earthly planet, whereas in the version it says planet Earth. That's very, very interesting.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I noticed that too.
So Shukadev Goswami, he's coming from at least 4 different dimensional perspectives, and so is Vyasadeva, at least 4, if not 4. And then within each perspective, it's completely consistent. But the sages there at Namisharani and the banks of the Ganges, they know when there's different perspectives. For example, one perspective is Earth it's round, it's globular, just like modern astronomy. Another perspective regarding flatness is they're talking about what we would call the plane of the ecliptic, right? Like each planet circles the sun. And so there's a plane of the ecliptic. And so when it talks about, so when we say Earth, there's at least 4 things referred to. One is Bharat Varsh. One is what we would call, you know, the Earth that the astronauts took pictures of supposedly, and, you know, like that. And another is the Bhumandala planetary system. That's the plane of the ecliptic of the Earth circling the sun. And Earth also means Jambu Dvip, which is the central landmass in that plane of the ecliptic. So there's complexity. There doesn't need to be controversy. There is complexity, and there are devotees who've written books like Sadhuputta Prabhu, Dr. Richard Thompson. He's written 2 books that I would recommend. After and while, he's written books that are companion books to the 5th canto of the Bhagavatam. And the Bhagavatam has about 11 chapters describing a lot about Vedic cosmology. One of his, Richard Thompson, he was a PhD in mathematics from Cornell University. One of his books is Vedic Cosmography and Astronomy. And the other book is Mysteries of the Sacred Universe. So they're companion volumes to the 5th canto. So just by reading the 5th canto, then we can hear it as it is from Prabhupada. And these books are from followers of Prabhupada who go go more fully into it. So that's one perspective where, yeah, of course the earth is round, and there's lots of Vedic astronomy that has the same distances that we have in Western astronomy, quadrillions of miles, things like that. And then there's other dimensions, like talking about the plane of the ecliptic, where when it talks about like differences between planetary systems, between planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Moon, it's talking about the mean distances between the ecliptics, the mean distances between the ecliptics. And just the fact that they're writing, that Vyasadeva is writing that 5,000 years ago, and if we compare it to what the mean distances between the ecliptics are described in the 5th canto, compared to now, it's like a fraction of a percent. It's like the same. And so like so even in the West, we didn't have the tools to calculate such distances till, I don't know, maybe 100 years ago, 150 years ago. So this isn't some like primitive thing. Yeah, so it is a Chincha Beta Beta Tafa at the same time as Narayan Ramachandra is saying, we don't want to just throw out loud when we don't understand saying something, a Chincha Beta Beta Tafa in a sort of cheap way. But how is it a Chincha Beta Beta Tafa? Like we'd say, us and God. Oh, it's a Chincha Beta Beta Tafa. We can't understand anything. No, it's one. We're one with Krishna because we're both consciousness and we're both eternal, and we're different because we're minute in Krishna. So we can always go deeper into what do we mean by a Chincha Beta Beta Tattva. And it's the same thing in Vedic cosmology in terms of flatness and roundness of earth. And even that term earth, again, like, let's be clear what we mean. I'm not saying we need to get more into the definitions now, but there are at least 4 definitions that they're not contradictory. They're all interrelated, and they're used in different ways. So it's a fascinating complex. It's a fascinating topic, Vedic cosmology, that has its complexities. And Prabhupada and some of Prabhupada's followers have given us ample opportunity to delve into it as fully as we would like in this lifetime. Hare Krishna.
Jai. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah, dear Govinda, I really appreciate like Prabhupada's words, choice of words was earthly planet, and our earthly planet do give a dimension of a plan, earthly plan and planet. And our planet Earth so much give like the Western concept, much more than earthly planet.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see which is the edited version. And
well, the earthly planet is Prabhupada's original book that he brought to the West.
Okay, interesting. Yeah.
Earth is the one that was edited by his disciple when he was still present on Earth.
Interesting.
You can see the choice of the pure devotee, the way he sees earthly planets. There is a dimension of an earthly level or something.
Right. Yeah, it has a different feel and meaning to it. I agree.
And the planet Earth is more like, let's see the way Westerners see like planet Earth. Yeah. Thank you. I really appreciate your explanation.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Prabhupada ki jai.
Krishna.